Buckle up for an exciting ride. Listen to our AI-generated podcast review of Chapter 9, Witch Trinity, The Calling, a thrilling podcast for the otherworldly inclined. A new chapter of the podcast will be available weekly, so subscribe or click the notification bell to not miss out. And please share the link with others. Enjoy the podcast.
Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be stepping into Witch Trinity, The Calling, Chapter 9 this time. And wow, talk about a cliffhanger.
Yeah, it's incredible how the author just throws us right into the action. You've got Delph and Shorn, two of the witches, they're in hiding, completely cut off. They're pouring all their power into shielding Serena.
It's like they're living on a razor's edge.
Exactly. Every moment is just filled with this unbearable tension. And the only connection they have to the outside world is
Serena's boyfriend, Simon.
Right, Simon. And you would think that being their only lifeline would make him, the most important person in their lives.
You'd think.
But they're about to ask something of him that's just, unimaginable.
It's really hard to even fathom, considering the threat they're facing. This isn't just some, run-of-the-mill villain. The Crow wants to take Serena's place in the Trinity, and she is relentless.
Absolutely, and
Wow.
she's wielding this ancient curse, the Kazandra curse, against them.
I was trying to remember if we heard about that before. I was flipping back through the chapters.
That's what's so clever. The author doesn't just hit you over the head with it. The Kazandra curse, it's not some external force. It preys on Serena's mind. It twists her thoughts, pushes her towards despair, towards suicide even.
And that line from the Crow, when she says, "Your girlfriend's protection does not prevent her harming herself,"
Gives me shivers every time I read it.
it's chilling. Because it really highlights just how insidious this curse is. It's psychological torture.
Absolutely.
And poor Simon. He's just an ordinary guy caught in this supernatural maelstrom. He's desperate to help Bud. Or so we think.
Well, and that's just it. What we learn is that Simon, he isn't just a bystander. He's the key to everything. Because you see, the Crow, she can't just steal Serena's power. It has to be relinquished willingly. Or, what the curse deems a natural death.
So suicide would actually play right into the Crow's hands.
Exactly. But there's another layer. The Witch Trinity, they have this safeguard woven into their very beings. If Serena dies any other way.
Wait, hold on. Are you saying that Delph and Shorn, even though they're incredibly weak, could they still bring her back?
In a heartbeat. Their power would surge the moment she dies. They'd heal her, break the curse, maybe even shield them from the Crow's knowledge.
That's incredible.
But to activate this failsafe, they need Simon to do something truly horrifying.
Oh gosh, I'm almost afraid to ask. What do they need Simon to do?
They need him to kill Serena.
Kill Serena. I mean, are you serious? They're asking him to betray her in the worst way imaginable.
And to save the universe.
Like, talk about a moral dilemma. It's almost Shakespearean.
It really is, and you can bet Simon is wrestling with that. On one hand, you have the very real possibility of losing Serena forever.
And on the other?
On the other hand, the fate of, potentially billions. Maybe more. All resting on his shoulders.
And it's not like he's, some kind of seasoned warrior or powerful sorcerer. He's just an ordinary guy who fell in love with an extraordinary woman. It makes you wonder, though, how would any of us react when faced with that impossible choice?
I know, it's a question that goes to the very core of what it means to be human, doesn't it? It's like, It forces us to confront our own morality. How far would we go for love, for duty, for something, bigger than ourselves?
It's interesting you say duty. I didn't even think about it like that at first. But you're right. It's not just his love for Serena. There's this huge responsibility that's been thrust upon him.
Precisely. And it's fascinating how the author sort of subtly weaves that sense of duty into the narrative. Remember the details about Delph and Shorn's past?
Yeah, it's easy to gloss over.
When you go back and you really look at it, Delph, she's a divine elf, right? She's lived for centuries guarding this secret, shouldering the responsibility of the Witch Trinity, and then there's Shorn.
Descended from a long line of healers.
Exactly. And now he's being asked to do the unthinkable.
Imagine that. Dedicating your life to healing, to mending wounds,
and then being confronted with the prospect of inflicting the most final wound of all. It's heartbreaking.
It really drives home the point that even in this fantastical world with all the magic and mythical creatures, it's the human elements that really resonate.
It's the internal struggles, and this is where the author's use of the magic system, it's just Chef's kiss, you know? It's not just there for show, it amplifies everything. The tension, the stakes. Take the grimoire, for instance, this ancient, powerful artifact.
Incredibly delicate, too.
Right. One wrong move, one mispronounced word, and disaster, catastrophe.
Like that near disaster with the mind construct.
Exactly. The author doesn't let us forget, not even for a second, how fragile their situation is. Every spell, every invocation, it could all unravel.
And in the middle of all that, they're asking Simon to do this horrific thing. The emotional turmoil, the second guessing, the sheer terror he must be feeling.
I know. Can you blame him for hesitating? I mean, really, he's staring into the abyss, faced with a choice that would haunt anyone.
It's that raw fear that the author captures so well. When Delph tells Simon it can get worse, after he's nearly strangled by the crow's magic.
Ugh, so chilling, and yet she says it so matter-of-factly.
It's like we're right there with them, feeling that desperation, the urgency.
Total immersion, and just when you think the tension can't possibly get any higher, bam! Chapter ends.
Cliffhanger.
The worst kind. Because now we're left wondering, what did Simon do? Could he actually bring himself to take Serena's life to save her?
I need to know. It's brutal. The author just leaves us hanging like that,
Yeah.
with this impossible choice just sort of dangling there.
But that's what makes it so compelling. It's not just about the plot, the external conflict.
It's about the internal struggle.
Exactly. What's happening inside Simon? And honestly, can you blame him? I mean, we talk about his love for Serena, this huge responsibility he's been given, but what about trust?
Can he really trust Delph and Shorn?
Right. They're asking him to do the unthinkable. What if he goes through with it and it's all for nothing?
Talk about a leap of faith.
With the highest possible stakes. And he doesn't even have time to really think about it. The clock is ticking. The Kazandra curse is getting closer and closer to consuming Serena entirely.
That sense of urgency. It's palpable.
The author doesn't let you off the hook for a second.
It's like I can practically feel my own heartbeat getting faster as I'm reading.
It's the details, That's what does it. The author just drops these really subtle sensory cues. You can practically smell the musty air of that hidden chamber, feel the flickering candlelight, hear the frantic whispers.
Total immersion.
Right. You're in the thick of it with them, feeling that desperation, but also that, sliver of hope that maybe, just maybe, they can pull this off.
That somehow this impossible plan will work.
You.
That's what makes it so powerful.
The power of love, the sacrifice, that strength that humans can find when they're pushed to their absolute limit. It's kind of amazing when you think about it.
It's a story that stays with you long after you finish the chapter.
Yeah.
At least it did for me. It makes you think, could I make that choice? Knowing what's at stake.
And that's the beauty of these deep dives, isn't it? We get to unpack these stories, really explore them, and hopefully start a conversation that goes beyond these pages.
So we want to hear from you. What resonates with you most about this chapter? What would you do if you were in Simon's shoes? Until next time, happy reading.